Sunday. We've got a great night planned. We are kicking off a brand new sermon series about social media. And we're actually not going to be hating on social media. We all like social media. We like to Facebook and Instagram and be on Snapchat. So that's why it's so important for us to talk about this sermon series, because social media is awesome. But how can we navigate that better? And with God at the center of it is an amazing conversation to have. And what's awesome about social media is it allows everyone at our schools and in the world to be talking about the same thing at the same time. It's great for a million other reasons too, like emojis and hashtags and Throwback Thursdays and selfies and all sorts of different things with social media to connect everybody together. And they were all made popular by one social media network or another. One of the great things that social media has even given us is the idea of a filter. And filters are amazing. They basically change the way you see something in a picture. A quick swipe to the left and right, and you can make your picture look brighter, dimmer, older, newer. You can change the shape of your eyes, the color of your hair, or even swap faces with another human being. And we used to call that magic, but now that's just normal. And so that's why we're talking about social media, is this idea of a filter. And it's great, but it can also make things confusing. Because we use filters so much, it's sometimes hard to know what the real picture even looked like. In other words, filters can make it hard to tell what's real and what isn't. Now, we're not going to be hating on social media. Like I said, we all like social media, but we're going to take some time to talk about filters and the way we use social media together. In particular, we're going to talk about filters in your life, when filters are a great idea and when filters aren't a great idea. And we truly believe that as we discuss these things over the next couple of weeks, you'll start to enjoy social media even more. Our students can enjoy social media even more, and it's a good thing. Now, as great as social media is, for me, it can get a little bit stressful at times. For example, if no one likes my post or comments on it, I wonder if it wasn't good enough. If someone ignores a Snapchat for me, I wonder if I made a mistake or did something wrong. Isn't it just good manners to respond with a smiley face or just a ha-ha or something to respond? And maybe you felt this way before. I know students have. And as silly as it sounds, the lack of a response or affirmation probably bothers us. So if you're like me, you've learned to become more careful about what you put out there. See, sometimes social media feels like a scoreboard. Lots of responses and likes and retweets and comments and shout-outs equals winning. And on the other hand, not many responses or zero responses or negative responses on social media equals losing. See, what if we could learn to enjoy our life online without being stressed out? While the idea of social media is modern, the problem of how we see ourselves isn't new at all. This week, we're going to look at something from the Apostle Paul and what he wrote to a church. Now, I think we find his words are just as true now as they were back then. See, Paul was a really respected religious leader of that time. And when Jesus died and was raised from the dead, and because Paul was part of this religious group, Paul felt threatened by Jesus' followers. Paul made it his mission to end the Jesus movement while Jesus was doing his ministry on this earth. On his way to do this, Jesus shows up in Paul's life and changes Paul's mind. See, when someone who dies appears to you, it causes you to rethink some things. And as a result, Paul became the missionary and leader of the first Christian movement. So Paul's writing to a church in the town in the area of Ephesus. And Paul begins with this amazing statement. He says in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, "For we are God's handiwork." Some other versions say masterpiece, but it all comes from the Greek word poem, which is the same word we get in English for the word poem. And basically Paul's saying, God is an artist, and you are his prized piece of poetic art. And maybe that sounds a little crazy to you. Maybe our students grew up thinking that you are God's disappointment or you are God's project that needs to be fixed. But no matter how you think of God, he sees you as his masterpiece. And that's exactly how God thinks about you. And it's really important that you get this and that our students get this. His view of you can change your view of you. So what we're saying is this: let God change your view of you, because God knows you better than anyone else will ever know you. So he created you. So while we look to social media to define who we are or what social media and what the world says about us, shouldn't God's opinion count for more than anybody else's opinion of ourselves? Now listen to how Paul finishes this statement. He says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, from which God prepared for us in advance to do." That's Ephesians 2:10, one of my favorite verses. See, God created you. He doesn't see you as a piece of art that you just hang on the wall, but as someone that God uniquely designed to impact the world. God made you on purpose and for a purpose. And when you truly embrace that, it changes the way you view your life. And this idea can change the way you see social media. When you know that the creator of the universe thinks that you're valuable, it's hard to have a negative comment on Instagram change that idea. But this doesn't have to just affect how we see ourselves. It also changes the way you view and treat people around you. Because get this, they're masterpieces too. So how do we remember our value when sometimes we feel devalued? Well, it'd be nice if social media had a filter that would allow us just to only see ourselves and everyone else the way that God sees us, but that's not reality. Even though that's not possible, you can still do this mentally. It just takes a little focus. So first, focus on what changes. Have you noticed how quickly things happen on social media? Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind when you encounter stuff you don't like on social media. It can feel like a lifetime, but honestly, people move on. Remind yourself that whether people comment on your post or not, whether they say nice things about you or negative things, it will change quickly. Don't let it dominate your life. And the second thing you focus on is focus on what doesn't change. No matter how things are going for you on social media today, try to focus on your attention on the thing that never changes. God's view of you is the same today as it has always been because you are his masterpiece. If you've messed up, he loves you and forgives you. If no one else likes your post, God's still crazy about you. Let God change your view of you. There's no filter that will make you look different to God. Figuring out how to handle this is so important because social media isn't going away. Next year, you may not be checking Instagram anymore, but there will be something else. Technology will change, but you will always be tempted to see yourself through the filter of how others see you. And if you give in, you're going to miss out on seeing the whole picture. Trust that God's opinion of you doesn't change. And let that be the filter for how you see yourself. And let God change your view of you. So we'll see you this week, leaders, at 4:45 for our leader huddle. We'll pray together, share some really exciting things happening in the lives of our students and our families, and we'll go get them again on Sunday night for a youth group. Thanks for everything that you do. Hope you have a great rest of the week. We're looking forward to a great discussion. Bye, guys.